seen any other black person besides, I guess, back in like the 1940s, whatever, wear a type of hat. And at that time, it was the style, so that didn't even make him stand out. He wants to be his own individual person. Same with Childish Gambino. They want to be an individual person. Him, going back to Pharrell Williams, him and Nerd, his group, or former group, whatever, they were different guys of different races. I think it's two, Pharrell and another black dude, and then one Asian and one Hispanic dude, whatever, formed Nerd, if I'm not mistaken. Please let me know, please don't cut my head off, I believe that was the group Nerd. But anyway, they all, like, form their own personal style. They like, skateboard, they, like, anime, they like, nerdy stuff, whatever. I guess that's obviously the genre they call nerd. And for the most part, if you were to not be the stereotypical person, you get your ass beat down. Granted, also, let me take a step back real fast. We did speak about that topic a little bit, or a brief, little bit in the previous podcast, but we're going to go more in depth about this subject, about how as black people, like men in general, we can't be more than two things. Either the bougie black person or the hood stereotypical black person, thug guy.
Yeah, because seeing like we call in the middleman, we gotta kind of be a certain way, because we kind of on this bang to feel like, that if we be too hood, it might intimidate white people, or we have to, if we ain't hood enough, it may make us appear weak to black.
Yeah, and we'll get robbed and harassed and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's like, it's like, imagine being on that side of the fence, especially like I told you earlier in the podcast about how I grew up, you wouldn't think I actually went through what I went through growing up, but I did.
Yeah.
Especially being the only guy on the block whose father was in the house constantly like that, and stuff like that. So I grew up with people with dudes who didn't have a father, who raised by single mothers. But in a lot of ways, I felt like with my childhood, even though both my parents was there, but both of my parents, my mother was in the condition she was, so I kind of felt like I was in a single parent home, but yet even though I wasn't.
I know what you mean. Like they weren't mostly there, but they were physically there.
Yeah, in a way. That's kind of how I felt. I felt like I was living in my childhood was kind of like a twilight zone. Like, okay, I know how it is in the hood life because, I kind of got the experience there. But at the same time, I'm also a dude that got both his parents. Came from what they call, two-parent home.
What's the term?
The official term that they still use is nuclear family.
That's what it was. I was like, starts with an N. It starts with an N. Dang. But yeah, nuclear family. Yeah.
The thing is, you don't see too many mother and father families living in like ran down ghetto areas or like that.
True. But speaking of that, one of my favorite, like I just said, Childish Gambino or Donald Glover, he also grew up in a pretty downtrodden area too, but he had both his parents. I think his mom was a teacher and his dad was something, I forgot what the hell his dad was. Mm-hmm. I gotta read about him again. But yeah, he was like similar to you, except for, his mom didn't go through such a struggle or stuff like that. But he became what he is today. Like, he believes in himself, I guess, got some good breaks, got some good luck, and just like focus on the way he wanted to be. And he is who he is. Like, he's one of the hottest acts in, I guess, Hollywood and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the advice I would say, if we're giving advice in this podcast stuff, is be who you want to be and like work hard.
Yeah, because even though I'm where I am, how I am. Like, you meet my twin sister and I got a twin sister, you would think that, okay, how were y'all two twins? That means y'all two came from the same household. Yeah, we did.
Came from the same age too.
Yeah, but the thing is, you meet my twin, you would think she raised in a single parent house and lived in projects all her life, because that's how she lived now. But see, nobody wouldn't believe that that's my twin sister, but believe it or not, she's one of the ratchet ghetto hood ones.
True. Yeah, because it works on both sides. It works on the fact that the stereotype is if you end up hood, you're from a single parent home, whatever, and if you end up like us, you have both your parents in your life, which that's kind of true for us in this case, whatever. But just like you said, the person that you were forming from the same egg, she ended up being the stereotype of the single parent home, even though she wasn't.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of people out here who acting stereotypical, who really, you look at their childhood, they probably didn't come up that way. I've seen a lot of dudes who came from single-parent homes raised by their mothers. They turn out just fine. But that's a rare occasion. That's rare when that happens.
True.
But it does happen.
Yeah, because they didn't let it get to them. They didn't let the stereotype take over their lives, and they didn't use that as an excuse. They didn't say, "Oh, my dad wasn't there," or "Oh, my mom wasn't there, so I'm just going to be like a shithead." Mm-hmm. They pulled this as Bill O'Reilly would say, pull themselves out by the bootstrings and make something of themselves.
Yeah, I mean that's it. It's like I say, it's not easy, really easy being black men in America, especially if you want a black man who don't fit to stereotypical black, or what they call stereotypical blackness. And we go to ask these people to you don't act black, you act black. I'm like, hey, what's the acting black? They can't give you an answer.
There's no set thing, like, and just and also I'm not trying to make this as a please cry for us other race in the world because we're black. I'm just this segment. I mean, this podcast are just open up discussions about differences and whatever. Yeah. And I'm not trying to make excuses for me why I'm not doing so great in life, or other black people who are doing so high in life. Because at the end of the day, like one of my friends said, life is, what was it, 80% or 70% of stuff that's given to you, and then 30% is what you make of the 70%.
Damn.
And yeah, I was like, my God, I mean, he's a wise person, but I never thought he would say something that wise. I was like, God, I need to do something with my life. But anyway, yeah, like, it's a lot of obstacles just to be a black man in America, but there's a lot of obstacles to be a human in general. But
yeah.
Like, I guess we can talk about being human in general for another podcast. But this specific one, let's just continue down.
Is being, like I said, black man who has had what we call an atypical black personality. In other words, he's not out in the streets, acting out, hood and ghetto, throwing up crooked fingers, talking about he's part of this and that gang, representing a project complex that he doesn't even own.
Yeah, and oh my God, this reminds me of something. Okay, so sorry about the phone call. So I was basically saying this reminds me of one character in the movie 8 Mile from Eminem. Anthony Mackie's character, I forgot what his name was, but anyway, he was like all hood, and he was the leader of a hood group, whatever. Yeah. And then later on, we found out Brittany. What is her name? The chick that died, the actress that died, Brittany. Is her name? Whatever. Anyway, the chick that Eminem's character was smashed in the movie, I forgot who told Eminem this, but basically, Anthony Mackie's character was not a stereotypical. I mean, he was based on his actions, not based on where he came from. But his actions his actions try to be determined of the way he was raised up. But he actually wasn't that. He was actually from a nuclear family. He had both his parents. He went to a prep school and everything. And then he tried to be like all hood, hard, and gangster or whatever.
Yeah, because the thing is, when a person get like that, what they try to do is fit in with what they perceive to be the majority. Yeah. But the thing is, that right now, that's starting. Well, at least I hope it is starting to phase out. But it don't seem like it is. But as long as you have that going on in the black community, that's going to be like every time somebody see a black man, regardless of what setting he is, they're going to think that's what he is.
True.
And you have to constantly feel like, you got to be, you feel like you're on this thing to prove that you're not. Because, one slip up, they're like, yeah, he was that way anyway. Like, yeah, he's typical.
True. You
can't even get angry without somebody labeling you as, okay, hood.
Yeah, hood or that angry black guy. We were right to always fear these black people because they can control the anger, they can't control themselves. Really terrible. We can't. Anyway, we have to save this for another time.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Alrighty.